Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Find Your Model Health, the official podcast for those looking to optimize their long-term health and weight goals and understand how their body really works. I am your host, Shemaine Looney. I'm a fitness and nutrition expert, certified iridologist, and biohacker, and I'm very happy to have you back with me for another part of your day for a very exciting conversation. So before we get into that, though, I must remind you that the information in these episodes is just for informational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. Please consult your health practitioner before making any lifestyle changes. So today, as those of you watching on video can tell from the expression on my face, I am very happy to be excited by a very prominent water specialist. We're going to be speaking to Mario Brainovic. Hopefully I pronounced it right because we're both European and I kind of know how to pronounce stuff. So Mario is the CEO of a new, well, not so new, but of a very exciting water specializing company called Analemma, which they make a revolutionary new device that transforms regular tap water and bottled water from its depleted, chaotic, lesser state into a more supreme, optimal, coherent is a word you use a lot, structured state. So Mario will be talking to us about all things water, structured water, easy water, and why you should upgrade your water today. Before I let you speak though, Mario, my clients are pretty well versed in everything water. I have spoken to them about structured water, easy water, deuterium depleted water, the cleanliness of water, where we can best source our water. And I know these kind of reverse osmosis filtration systems that you can attach to your house and whatnot, they're quite popular now. But you guys have came up with something completely new and, dare I say, tangible for a lot of people, because sometimes these machines and filtration systems are out of a lot of people's reach as well. So would you just give us a bit of your backstory and then tell us what you guys have been up to in regards to water?
Awesome. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. I mean, this is such an important and extraordinary topic because, I always kind of remember Nikola Tesla, like the famous scientist, said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And water is a broadband absorber, receiver, and transmitter of energy, frequency, and vibration. And therefore, it's almost the number one thing for not just health and wellness, but for everything, because it holds the frequency of life.
Mm-hmm.
People kind of go into understanding of water purely from the chemical point of view. So you take something out of it, you purify it in some way or form. But what our research kind of realized, through our research, we realized that when you bring water in a state of coherence, then the true power of water is being unleashed.
Mm-hmm.
We tested all of the waters on the planet, like not all, but really like enormous number of samples from everywhere. And what we found out is that water exists in what we call a chaotic state. So H2O molecules in drinking water, they move chaotically, they crash into each other constantly.
Kind of like all of our lives, really.
Yeah, it really has. Yeah, definitely. And they're crashing into each other constantly. Because all of this happens on an atomic level, nobody's really aware of it. But this chaos has a profound influence on our health and wellness. We found a way to bring harmony, to bring order back into that chaos. Just to explain what coherent water is, colloquially speaking, H2O molecules kind of join hands. They come together. They start to behave and act harmonically. They enter into a liquid crystalline state. in that particular state, the true power of water is being unleashed. And it has profound effects on our health and wellness. We tested it on humans, we tested it on animals, we tested it on plants, and the results were always remarkable. In our early research, we wanted to see, okay, we used various methods, near infrared, ultraviolet, visual spectroscopy, biophoton research, so that we prove, okay, something really changed with this water. But our whole focus was to see what this water does to biological systems. And the results were phenomenal.
So when you say you changed this water into a liquid crystalline state, do you mean that you were turning it more into that structured gel-like state that many of us know about?
Yes, but let's say actually if you're talking about phosphated water that Dr. Gerald Pollack talked about so much. He's a very dear friend of ours, and we're actually now doing a research with him where we're comparing easy water, because he found a way to structure water, what he calls exclusion zone water, and Analemma water, and we are comparing results and the effects of easy water and Analemma water. So we're working on that research, and very soon we're going to come up with the results, because these are two completely different ways. But Jerry's water actually is structured water as well, but we came to it in a different way. So we are measuring the effects and everything of both now to compare the results.
That's very exciting for your business, because he's very prominent in the health world. So
yeah, I mean, water community is very small. So every single year we're having water conferences where water scientists from all over the planet come, and then we are sharing our experiences, sharing our research, so everybody knows everybody. It's not a huge world, which we definitely believe is going to grow exponentially when people start realizing what power lies there. And this is we are pioneering in that sense, because we are actually testing on biological systems. We have double-blind placebo-controlled studies that we've done on people to prove that something biological remarkable happens when people drink this water.
So yourself and Mr. Pollack, your waters are structurally the same, but you're comparing how they're different.
Well, there are various structures. Water molecules can structure in various ways. There are coherent fields in water. You can adjust it. It's so I can kind of maybe compare it to an antenna. Since water is a broadband absorber, receiver, and transmitter of frequency, energy, and vibration, it can form particular structures, and every single structure can receive, let's say, particular information. Our whole quest was to find the most, since water is always going to pick up the dominant frequency of its environment. Our whole endeavor was to find the most positively dominant frequency of water there is. And this is exactly what we ventured, and we spent 15 years doing this. And we created what we call the mother water. It's this very particular water. It takes 5 different stages and 1 full year for us to create the mother water. And what we did, we put it in this crystal vial. This is what the Analemma stick is. And what's interesting, why it's so simple, is then when you put it in a glass of water and start swirling, any H2O molecule that comes into close proximity to it will mimic its exact structure. So you are getting the mother water inside your glass. And when you drink it, that has profound effects on your health and wellness.
So this is just our sciencey conversation, but is that true energy transduction, that when you swirl it, those electrons are getting transferred?
It's not about, I mean, you can call it that way, but since I mentioned water is a broadband absorber, receiver, and transmitter of frequency, it will always pick up the dominant frequency. That's why it's so important how we treat water. Because if water is in environment of some negative frequency, it will pick it up. If it's dominant, water is going to pick up that frequency. And if we drink it, we are actually influencing our body in a not so positive way. That's why we wanted to create the most positive frequency of water, so that in any situation, if H2O molecule comes into close proximity to it, it will mimic its exact structure and it will never lose it. I just want to come one step back just to explain to people, a lot of people, I mean, your people will understand this because you already told the story about structured water and everything, but 99% of our molecules are water. We're 70% water in mass, but 99 in molecules. We're basically very clever H2O. That off the bat tells you there is something extraordinarily important about water. So if you purify the water from the chemical side, you're definitely doing something. But with this is something completely different. I can, just to simplify to people, when you take a light bulb that has 5 watts, it will give you some light. But if you take 5-watt laser, which is a coherent form of light, you can burn the hole through your table. That's the difference in power.
I'm just going to stop you for a minute and kind of go back a little bit.
Yes.
So in regards to the structure of water, there are antidotes and research going back 50 years or more, if you want to go back as far as the Bible, on how water can be manipulated through even our voice. I can never pull up the name of the study, but there was that study done where they spoke to water. I love you. You're beautiful. You're going to have a great day.
It's Dr. Masaru Emoto. Dr. Masaru Emoto did this research, and it was phenomenal research. He was such a pioneer in understanding and bringing to people the message that is behind water. So I love his work. His work is truly phenomenal. I love his experiment. You're probably familiar, where you take boiled rice. And this is what he did, and 2 glasses of boiled rice, and to one every single day he came and expressed love to, and to the other one he expressed negative emotions. And after a week, the one that had love expressed to it, this had this beautiful fermented smell of rice. There was no decay whatsoever. You could eat that rice. It was so preserved. And the other one was physically decomposing. It was rotting down and had a bad smell. And the only difference was the intention, the energy that was put out to it. That's why I say water is going to pick up the dominant frequency that is being exposed to. That's why it's so important how we treat our water. I believe that, all the spiritual traditions in the world, they have this kind of saying a prayer before you eat your meal. You are literally, when you're saying a prayer over your food, you're literally changing the structure of what you're eating and the energy of it. And when you eat it, you're actually bringing this frequency of prayer, of love, of care into your body. And that has a profound effect on your biology.
But most people don't do that, because we live in the Western world, especially, it is chaotic, and people are just shoving food into their mouth and wondering why they feel so sickly, and they're dealing with these issues. So back to the health one, what I was saying, for those people who aren't aware of this study, what they did was they spoke loving words to one jar of water, and then the other jar was like, I hate you, you're disgusting, you're never going to be any good. And then when they analyzed the water molecules under a microscope, the one that had been expressed loving language, they were beautiful shapes like snowflakes and very coherent. And the other one that had been speaking poorly to, those molecules, they showed up as jagged, like broken glass, and crazy, incoherent. And there was a big difference. And I really believe, like, I speak to my plants. I play classical music to my plants. My family thinks I'm crazy, but I'm like, they love it. They love it. I'm a big advocate for lots of light, lots of bright, lots of high, happy energy in my house, to keep me and my family healthy. But when you look at a lot of other environments that people are living in, it's not. And chaotic is a great word, because it's not only is it negative and dark and just a mess, it's that chaos on every level. And we're not in balance. We're not in homeostasis. So I'd like to just step a bit back, if you don't mind,
of course,
because we do always have new followers. Just can you tell us, why is water so important in our body?
As I mentioned, 99% of our molecules are water. So basically, every single system is profoundly influenced by water. As I mentioned, since water is a broadband absorber, receiver, and transmitter of energy, frequency, and vibration, it is the fundamental existence of us. It's the deepest level. We're always kind of trying to treat our bodies or try to help it in chemical ways. And definitely that has an influence. But if you don't touch the fundamental level, then you can never solve the cause. That's why when you change the water, you are basically changing the energetic of you, and all biology will follow. And all of our research clearly proved that. Biology always follows the change in energetic.
I'm sure you're aware of Robert Slovak, he's part of Water and Wellness. He speaks water is the basis of all life. It's completely underrated by many people. And I'm a huge fan of Dr. Thomas Cowan's work. I mentioned to you in the beginning, when I was researching a lot of cancer stuff, he blew my mind with the idea that maybe it's not the cellular matrix per se that's the problem. It's the water inside the cell, especially when they moved one nucleus to another cell, like healthy nucleus into dirty cell water. Just to translate it simply for people to understand, they took a healthy nucleus from a healthy cell and they put it into for those of you that don't know, inside your cell, it's water. And they put the nucleus into this dirty, unhealthy water, and the nucleus then became unhealthy and cancer was formed. And that blew my mind. And then it was like, well, apart from sleep, water is my next top priority.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. The environment, the water holds the energetic. If from the energy perspective and frequency perspective, water is balanced, everything will be balanced. If that part is not balanced, you can treat your body with chemicals all the way you want. You cannot make the change, because this is the fundament of life.
Yeah. And if you're drinking dirty water, shall we call it, that's what you're going to be molecularly made up of. That's what your 99% of cells is going to be made of, dirty water.
I have to tell you one thing. All of the water inside our body is actually exists in coherent state, but our body needs to spend a lot of energy to put it there. When you're constantly drinking incoherent water, our body needs to, for our body to work properly, body needs to spend energy to make it coherent. But when you bring coherent water into your body, you have more than enough energy to treat anything else in your body. And actually, we did double-blind placebo-controlled study where we measured the ATP levels. The ATP is adenosine triphosphate, is the primary energy currency of the cell. It's directly responsible for powering the majority of cellular processes in our body, including muscle contraction, nerve impulse transmission, biochemical reactions. Basically, our bodies cannot function without ATP. And what we did is we employed what is called luciferase, which is an enzyme that catalyzes light production in bioluminescent organisms. And due to its extraordinary sensitivity, you can measure ATP levels in humans with it. So we did a snapshot of the ATP, and then people were drinking 1.5 liters of Analemma water for 2 months. And then we did another snapshot, and they didn't change anything else in their world. Everything stayed the same. And we had 20% rise in all of the mitochondrial energy of the body over the placebo. So entire mitochondrial energy rose by 20%. If you give your body only a couple of percent, your body is going to be very happy because it will have energy to deal with all the issues that we are facing day to day. And we are talking about 20% rise within only 2 months. So this clearly shows that something special happens when people drink this water. And we tested it on humans and both plants and animals, and the results were always the same. So it really is an amazing thing.
So the Analemma water, or your mother water, it improves the efficiency of the mitochondria. Were you guys, and I'm curious because I'm always interested in anything to do with deuterium, had you guys analyzed deuterium or had it effects there, or did it totally bypass it, or what?
Actually, we're now in process. We want to kind of connect and create the combination of deuterium depleted water and structured water. So we're kind of expecting that it's going to be some explosive stuff because it already releases enormous amounts of energy. But when you take deuterium out, we're expecting that something even more special is going to happen. But we are actually, all of this is in the works. And I will definitely let you know. We always believe in hardcore science, so we always want to prove whatever we are claiming or saying. We want to prove it in a hardcore scientific way. So we're working on it, and as soon as we have the results, I will be happy to inform you because we're really kind of looking forward to it. Yeah.
You need to come back and tell me because people are so aware of fluoride and whatnot in their water, but deuterium, for those who don't know, when you take the deuterium out of the water or at least deplete it, that water becomes a lot cleaner. So combining that with what you're doing, that should be like energy on cocaine there, I say, just explosive in your body. And of course, deuterium depleted water nowadays, as you know, is pretty expensive to get. So we can only do our best. There's a few kind of brands that I will recommend based on Jack Cruise's research. These are the best brands for lower deuterium, kind of the best we can do. I don't have hours to freeze water and pour it off and freeze and pour. So can you, because I have a lot of, I'm in Alberta, Canada. We're very homegrown here. And of course, I'm Irish. So there's a lot of growing here, a lot of farmers, a lot of grow your own foods. You did a fascinating study on tomato plants. Can you just tell us that?
Yeah, this was our early research when we started to kind of test on biological systems. Our founders, Dr. Eric Larker and Dolph Zonting, they actually picked up a whole lab and all the scientists inside of famous German scientist Fritz Popp, who kind of developed this biophoton research. He realized that every single biological system radiates light. And he created this technology, which is very, very, very delicate, that can pick up every single biophoton. And in his study, he realized the more biophotons biological system has, the more vital it is, the more energy it has. So what we did, we kind of grew tomatoes with regular water and with Analemma water. And we realized that tomatoes that were grown with Analemma water exude 60% more light, 60% more vitality.
So is that 60% more energy as well, just to put it in kind of layman's terms?
Well, we already proved in our ATP studies that energy, mitochondrial energy, increases exponentially and more than significantly. But, we would say that biophotons have a correlation, but we wouldn't say that it's one-to-one. But the more biophotons a biological system has, the more vital it is. But it actually goes much further than that. What we did is we actually did 3 generations of tomatoes. We grew tomatoes with Analemma water. We took out the seeds, planted, grew a tomato again and replanted. And after 3 generations, the plant became so resilient that it almost didn't need no pesticides whatsoever. It became so resilient to any invader on the outside. And all of our research exactly confirmed that, which is really something.
Yeah, so it not only did it help these plants grow better and be more luscious, it also helped them protect against external stressors.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. And not only we're, I mean, this is something I always invite people to kind of do. If you have your Analemma stick, just buy 2 basil plants and water one with regular water and one with Analemma water. And after 3 weeks, cut their water supply. And you can even increase the stressor, like you mentioned. You can increase the heat on both of them. And you can see what's going to happen there. It's really something magical to observe. The one that is watered with regular water will shrivel down and start to blacken. And you will almost not see any change in the one that was watered with Analemma water. And even if when it starts to kind of fall down after a while without giving it anything, because it's such a delicate plant, you just give it a couple of drops of Analemma water and it springs back to life almost instantly. And this is something very visual. This is something that anybody can do to see the difference between regular water and Analemma water.
I heard you give an antidote on another podcast. Maybe it was with Dave Asprey, that some lady had put her Analemma stick in the garden, and then there was a circumference around it.
Yeah, that was where it's ridiculous. In the glycanate study, we asked participants to always put to kind of expose the Analemma to the sun, and every single day this lady put in kind of small garden of short plants. She put her Analemma at the same very spot. And after a month or so, she sent me a photo, and exactly like you drew a circle around the Analemma, all the plants grew a couple of centimeters above than anywhere else. And this actually clearly tells the story about the frequency that goes around. And this inspired us to even, now we're actually going deep into agriculture studies, and we are going to create grid to do the math and to see when we create a grid of Analemmas in the agriculture world, to see what's going to be the yield. And we already know that the shelf life is much longer because of the vitality of the plant. So they last longer because they're more vital. And it's really interesting to observe, like regular tomato goes out, gets rotten very fast, but our tomatoes grown with Analemma water, they stay fresh much longer.
And it's natural, and there's a lot of talk about food scarcity and all that nowadays, so you could be onto something big. I also heard you talk about on another podcast interview that your company was looking at putting some sort of equipment into some of the biggest wells in the world.
This is our whole kind of mission statement. We want to make all bodies of water on this planet coherent again. This is actually our end goal. We developed already this eco-friendly technology that we can install in the wells of biggest rivers, because we know, we've tested it, we've proved it so many times, the microbiome of water is going to change. The water will enter the coherent state and all the life down the stream would thrive. But not only that, all of this water will end up in the oceans. Then the oceans will become coherent, and then our entire planet will enter in the state of coherence. And that's something we're actually aiming for. I know we're aiming very high, but this is what we want to do. And we know that the life on this planet not only could, but would change if that would happen. So this is where we are aiming at.
Well, you know what they say, go big or go home.
Yeah. I know this is the thing. Water, as I mentioned, is an energetic phenomenon. It captures the positive frequency, the most dominant frequency, if it's positive or negative. But since this is the most positive, we know that we are changing the environment for the better. And when I mentioned the environment, I want to mention another very, very, very interesting study. We are very much aware of the whole problem of toxins that are being used in agriculture, and it's really becoming very, very, very bad problem in the world. So we took completely destroyed, depleted, infertile land that was treated with all kinds of chemicals for a very long time. And what we did, we took one part of it when we watered with regular water, and one part we watered with Analemma water. And then we tested to see what's going to happen. And the part that was watered with regular water, basically nothing happened. Everything stayed the same. But the part that was watered with Analemma water, there was a huge explosion of the biodiversity of the microbiome in the soil, so much so that the bacteria started to suck CO2 out of the atmosphere into the soil where it belonged. So the land became extraordinarily fertile. You could grow on it just by putting the water, Analemma water, on it. But it doesn't stop there. Usually when the rain falls, all of the minerals, actually nutrients, go out into the deeper layers. But with Analemma water, there is a huge retainment of the minerals inside the soil. So it stays there for the fruit to pick it up.
Yeah, so whatever you're getting out of that soil, whatever fruits or crops you're yielding, is going to be more nutritious and cleaner. Is it filtering out the pesticides? Is it helping negate some of
that's the thing. We realized, well, in our research, we realized that the microbiome is the key there. Because these bacteria in soil are everything. The balance, we're living in the equilibrium. The whole system needs to be imbalanced, and we destroyed that balance. It's the same thing with our body, just so you know. We like to think of ourselves as single species. No, we live in, we're an entire ecosystem. We live in symbiosis with trillions of microorganisms. There are more microorganisms, more bacteria in our body than human cells. There are up to 300 times more microbial genes than human genes, if you can imagine. And these genes are actually producing enzymes which are critical for our digestion. We wouldn't have access to nutrients without those microorganisms. So the state of microbiome is crucial for basically any area of health on this planet. Now is a perfect time to mention our double-blind placebo-controlled microbiome study.
That was what I was going to ask. I was like, now that you've said that, have you done anything on IBS, diverticulosis, Crohn's, anything like that?
So what we measured is the dysbiosis index of the microbiome. So this dysbiosis index describes the degree of deviation within the microbiome, taking into account all the bacterial phyla and species and their weighing factor. So again, we did it was double-blind placebo-controlled study. We did a snapshot of the microbiome, so to speak. Then people drank the water for a very short amount of time for the microbiome to change. Only 2 months. Usually, studies that go into microbiome take much longer time. But we want to see what will happen in a short period of time. So
and how much were they drinking per day? Sorry,
a minimum of a liter to liter and a half of water a day. That was basically it. And then we took another snapshot of the microbiome, and we had 17% improvement on average on the dysbiosis index over the placebo. But I want to tell you one really remarkable thing. We didn't want to stop there. We wanted to see what happens with pathogenic bacteria, because we knew that this water creates equilibrium. So it will, in all of our research, bad bacteria came reduced and good bacteria went up. So there is this kind of balancing act. And exactly that happened. There was 47% improvement over the placebo in pathogenic bacteria in our study. Now we are planning much bigger study to do a much deeper dive into microbiome, because we know that that's where the key is to everything. I want to continue speaking so that people understand when they receive 17% improvement on the microbiome, what would that actually mean, and with only 2 months. So there is a great correlation between our microbiome and our immune health. 70% of our immune cells exist in our gut lining. 70%, which is extraordinary when you look at it. And bacteria in our gut are teaching our immune cells good from bad. They're helping remove the bad guys, and they're actually helping prevent autoimmune responses in our body. There are bacteria in our gut. They help regulate T cells, immune cells. So they regulate the whole inflammation levels in our body. But not only that, this is also maybe, well, your people maybe know this, but gut bacteria, they actually create neurotransmitters. which are delivered through the gut-brain axis through our brain, and they're creating new neural pathways. So the state of our microbiome influences how you think, how you feel, and who you are. Isn't that fascinating?
That was actually, I have two questions for you, and that was one of them. So the first one was, well, based on this research in the microbiome, we know 90% of our serotonin, which is our feel-good, happy hormone, is made in our gut. And so many people dealing with depression and anxiety. Have you guys tested changes in levels with serotonin, and if it could be efficacious for addressing something like depression? Because that would be incredible.
And this is
before you go on, the second question was, is the medicine dose dependent? So you said there was a 17% increase based on 1.5 liters. From my experience with most people, obviously who I work with, but even people I talk to, they try to average 3 liters a day. So does that mean 3 liters of Analemma could potentially give a 34% increase?
Well, since, you know, as I mentioned, we always like to keep it to hardcore science, we can hypothesize, and I can definitely say that there is a very good chance of that. But since we haven't actually done the study, I cannot claim that. But there is, I definitely agree. If you drink more, I'm not drinking any other water.
Yeah.
So when you experience the benefit, you don't want to drink any other water. But having said that, we haven't done the actual study that we kind of said to people, okay, drink at least 3 liters and then do the microbiome. But you mentioned the serotonin, and we are now actually going to go in very wide study. And that is going to be a part of that as well. So whole hormonal health, moods, and everything that is affected by it. This is just going to be one part of it. We're going to go into DNA study, very deep DNA expression. So that is going to what we are going to study next. NAD levels. This is also because NAD levels are very much connected to our ATP levels. So we hypothesize that something is going to happen there. So we have loads of exciting research, which I'm hoping everything will be done within the next 6 months to a year. And as soon as we have any of those results, I will be more than happy to share with you and your listeners.
Oh, I will be annoying you to come back. So this is clearly very exciting. You're clearly very excited. Can you imagine if just having water could help with depression and metabolic syndrome and all these issues people are dealing with just with water? Like, that is incredible. That is very exciting.
Definitely. As I mentioned earlier, water is a fundamental thing to our health. It's fundamental thing to everything that we are. It's the holder of energy of who we are. When you change that, all of the biology will follow, because you're changing something which is fundamental. So and we, in all of our research, we're really venturing in various kind of areas, and in every area we see a movement. But that's why, you know, we have we have as much time as we have, and we can venture in all the studies that we can, but we are spread wide, and we're also doing the whole agriculture world, which is a world in and of itself. So we're playing we have a lot of balls in the air, so to speak, but we don't want to drop any of them. We want to research as much as humanly possible in a short amount of time as possible, so that people will understand that if they use the water, they will get the benefit.
Last week, I had a conversation with a guy called Amity Eshel. He is CEO of a skincare company called Young Goose, and the foundation of their products is NAD, and they're known as the biohacking skincare company. You should look into them, because if you're looking into NAD, and they are doing some incredible anti-aging and longevity stuff, and addressing NAD more at the dermis and what that can do. But if in my head, I'm thinking, well, if you could combine what they're doing using your water as a base for their products, that could be a complete game changer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole skin health and Analemma water, that's a whole new frontier. Because whole skincare industry are using all kinds of ways to increase ATP in the skin, because the whole decomposition, the cellular aging happens because of lower mitochondrial activity. We already know that when you drink this water, your mitochondrial activity is going to go higher and ATP levels are going to be higher. So the whole cellular aging thing is going to be postponed dramatically. So the whole wrinkles, the whole hair damage, everything kind of goes down. So it would be really interesting to combine our two approaches to find something which is really amazing.
Yeah. So I do want to move on because I do eventually want to give people more insight. So we've mentioned Analemma water a lot, just give them more insight in what that is. But one more thing I wanted, you guys had done some research on brain fog, and I get a lot of comments and feedback about people having brain fog now, which we can argue is because this or that. But what was the research you came across?
It's actually, it was one of our early kind of research, and it was really fun, because since water, as I mentioned, is an electromagnetic phenomenon, especially our water, because it's so potent, we wanted to see where will it show the fastest result. And then we wanted to test brain waves, because brain waves are actually electromagnetic in nature. And what we did, we did a double-blind twin study. So we took identical twins, and we actually put QEEG equipment on them, and we measured their brain waves. So a doctor administering the study didn't know which water was which, and twins didn't know which water was which. And we gave one regular water and one Analemma water. And as soon as the twin that drank Analemma water drank, very short period of time, there is an instant better connection with the left and the right hemisphere of the brain, an instant cooling effect on the brain waves, while the other twin, which is genetically identical, which drank regular water, basically nothing happened. So this is where this water shows the results the fastest. And a couple of weeks later, we again repeated the experiment, but we gave Analemma water to another twin, and the same thing happened. So the same result that we had in first, but the other twin just expressed the same result. So brain waves change almost instantly when you drink this water, and it's something very observable.
That is insane, and that is very exciting. When you mentioned the cooling effect on the brain, that very well could be beneficial for migraine sufferers as well, to calm that inflammation.
We actually, what we did, there is one a very severe neurological disorder that actually involves high delta brain waves, which usually delta brain waves are usually active when we sleep. But in this neurological disorder, delta waves go up while you awake, and that makes people drowsy and they don't feel good. So what we did, we tested, it was a 3-week study where they drank Analemma water for 3 weeks. And lo and behold, delta waves came down and people started feeling amazing. So, and we're talking about a neurological disorder, which is pretty severe. So we're not talking about something which is kind of not as serious, and it had very profound effect.
So what we're saying is this water is just calming everything down. In layman's terms, it's cooling and calming.
Balancing. I would always say balance. Whatever is out of whack, it will bring it down. The same thing happens with microbiome. Pathogenic bacteria, they reduce, and positive bacteria, they go up. So we are living in this, and we're supposed to live in the state of harmony within ourselves and with our environment. And this water connects us in a very profound way. It creates harmony within our body, mind, and spirit.
So let's get into this water then. So this water, what you have is the mother water, as you call it, which is a structured water. And you guys have put it into, correct me if I'm wrong, a quartz crystalline vial, which actually reminds me of, you know, a little purse perfume bottle you just pop in your purse.
Yeah. I mean, it's something very portable. So we wanted to create something that people can use anywhere and everywhere. And this is the thing: the quartz crystal that mother water is inside just serves as a superconductor. So it kind of creates a barrier between rest of the water and the mother water, but frequency-wise, it's almost like it's not there. So as I mentioned, when you swirl the Analemma stick through the water, all of the H2O molecules that come into close proximity to the mother water start to mimic its exact structure. But you know what's the wonderful thing about it? There are companies on the planet that developed some form of coherence in water. They use vortexing or magnets or crystals, various ways, and they actually do have an influence on water. But the main difference between Analemma and all the others is that we've tested almost all of the devices currently that exists on in the world. The state of coherence lasts between a couple of minutes and day and a half, and then the water goes back into chaos. And with Analemma, we now tested 5 consecutive years. It never lost its state of coherence. When it enters into this very particular liquid crystalline state, it never loses it. And we actually tried to push it. We radiated it. We did all kinds of things to it, and it never lost its state of coherence. Even when we really kind of radiated it badly, it lost its state of coherence, and then immediately it came back as soon as the radiation stopped. So it has a memory. We know that water usually has memory. But when you have dominant positive frequency, water just goes back to that particular state.
So the mother water, which is this, I'm going to say it's magic water, like you need this in your life. Does it ever deplete from inside the vial? Because the crystal would have some micro pores. Does it deplete?
No. This is the thing, you know, if you take care of this, this is what we wanted. We wanted to offer it to the world, and we wanted to price it in such a way that every single person on the planet can get a hold of it. And if you take care of it, it will create coherent water for life, because it never goes out of state of coherence. You just need to care for it very much, because if it falls down, since it's a very thin crystal, it will break. I broke one, and I have a lot of them, and I was bummed. So just take care of it.
So it is delicate. If you drop it, it'll smash like glass.
It will smash like glass. Yeah, it will just smash, and you will be bummed.
But otherwise, if you take care of it, that one vial could last you for 50 years, for the rest of your life.
Yes, we haven't seen any deterioration in the coherence or in its ability to create structured water. I have to say one more thing. Now we actually came out with a new product that is called Whole House Analemma, because we wanted, you know, every single day when you have to swirl and swirl and swirl, but we wanted to create something which is awesome, you know, and you can take it wherever you go, you can travel around with it, so it's awesome. But in your house, we were developing for a while a system that you can install in the piping system of your house, and you have coherent water everywhere. I want to say something about this because it really is something special. We always kind of hypothesize, since skin is the largest organ of the body, what would happen if people would lay in Analemma water?
In a bath.
In a bath, yes. And we actually partnered with the company, a beautiful company in America called Hydrate Spa. And they actually, Dr. Greg Lane did tests before and after. And we knew that something is going to happen there, but we really didn't know how profound the effects are going to be. So people were just laying down between 20 minutes and 1 hour, depending how they felt in the water. And we took vitals before and after. And every single person experienced stronger cardiac output, stronger stroke volume, blood viscosity improved, red blood cells count improved. just by laying down. And not just people who had heart issues. We measured one very prominent athlete. Their cardiac output is strong, but even they actually experienced an improvement.
So what temperature then was the, because I like to have very hot baths, but I'm interested.
It's not a problem if it's under 100 degrees, which you cannot be in anyhow. It doesn't really matter.
Okay. How big is this equipment that you would put into your house? Is it just like a filter attachment, or is it a
no?
big...
It's let's say it's this. It looks like a muffler of the car.
Okay.
But it's smaller, kind of in size. You have two pipes, and you just install it in the piping system of your house, and then all of the water in your house is coherent. So if you
runs through it.
Yes, it runs through it. It also has mother water inside, but we kind of designed it in a way that it always touches and it brings water in this very special coherent state. And the results we're having with are really phenomenal. So that's also kind of one angle. We're now doing 100 people study. And when we have all of the data on one place, I will definitely share everything with you. So this is a special, because when you are in the water for, let's say, an hour, you are going to absorb up to a liter of water. But we see that there is something else there. Some pathways are being opened, something special. We still don't know exactly what is the mechanism, but the change is very palpable and everybody can experience.
So the wand is very appealing to me because I can pop it in my handbag and bring it everywhere. My question is, if I bring it to a restaurant or a bar and I was to stir my wine with it, how would that affect the wine?
That's a very interesting question. If it has H2O molecules, and wine and beer and juice definitely has H2O molecules, those molecules will form this very special liquid crystalline state. So yes, you can put your wine and your beer and any drink that you're having into coherent state. Just be sure that you wipe the Analemma clean and put it into its kind of container so it's protected.
Have you done a taste test, kind of normal wine stirred, and see if it changes the taste?
I haven't done that, but everybody can do the taste test and everybody can do that. And we haven't had, there are we're talking about extraordinarily small percentages of people that cannot see the difference. There is also one beautiful story with the Dr. Mindy Peltz and her sister. She actually, they kind of did the taste test, and her sister is kind of very also prominent scientist and very knowledgeable person, and she couldn't ignore it because it was so obvious, the difference in taste. So anybody can do this. If you just take regular water, two kind of glasses, and you just swirl one and then do the taste test, something profound happens in the taste of water just by swirling the Analemma through, which is remarkable when you look at it. It's the same water. You just swirl the Analemma through one and something happens. Not only that, the viscosity of it, something changes that you can really taste.
You can feel it on your tongue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, feeling is the next level thing. As I mentioned, it has instant effect on your brain waves. And people who are more sensitive, off the bat, they feel, okay, something happened here.
I'm going to do the wine test. I have a favorite organic red wine, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to tag your company on Instagram and tell you what I found, because that's awesome. Interesting. Because I'm well aware of our time. How would that work for hot drinks too, like coffees and stuff?
We would always say it's better to put it in a coherent state before the water boils. And when the temperature goes down below 70 degrees Celsius, then you can kind of also, because, as I mentioned, this is very thin crystal. So we always want to protect it. So you don't want to expose it to very high temperature. And of course, you don't want to expose your Analemma to freezing temperatures as well. We always kind of suggest take care of it. It's a gem. And so it should be kind of protected. And if you care for it, it will create coherent water for you for life.
So if you go to a Starbucks, maybe let your coffee cool a bit, or
Yes.
also get a water with your coffee and just drink the water.
Definitely, definitely. But just so you know, if you drink 1.5 liters of water, or I'm drinking more, that will be more than enough. So you don't need to I always protect your wand, because if you're carrying it all around, who knows if we could fall or whatever. But you can do anything with it, and you can use it on any liquid that has H2O molecules, and it will bring it to that very particular state.
Just a last, well, I have two more things. This one just popped into my head. Is there a freezing point, or is it just the average freezing point? Because low deuterium water will freeze.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't done the actual science on it, but we haven't gone in and see what happens there. So we always just say keep it on room temperature. It can go up to 4 degrees, but just don't go below.
And this is my last question.
Okay.
Because you're such an expert in water, and I'm a huge advocate of hydrogen-rich water. I take it twice daily. It's been my thing for years. What's your opinion on molecular hydrogen and hydrogen-rich water? Have you looked in combining the two? I mean, plus deuterium plus hydrogen.
Yeah, we are actually looking into making those connections. But as I mentioned, we are hardcore science guys. So before we do the actual study, we cannot really say too much. But I can tell you that we are exploring any and all. There are various others where oxygenated water and various other that we're looking into. So we know for a fact that all of these other methods are quote unquote chemical. This is energetic. This is the fundamental level of basically everything. And when you change this, you know that you change basically everything down the line. But when you combine it with all these other methods, like you mentioned, deuterium depleted or hydrogen water or oxygenated water as well, something spectacular could happen there. So we are very much looking into that. And as soon as we have any results, I will definitely let you know.
Thank you. So tell my people, where can we order? Your Instagram page is awesome. I saw that yesterday.
Oh, thank you so much. So you can just go to coherent-water.com. That's coherent-water.com. And I suggest to people to jump on the newsletter, because we're doing studies all the time. So there you can also follow everything that we're doing, and you can learn about the science of water. And of course, on the website, you can order your Analemma and get the benefit.
The coherent-water.com and the Analemma, just in my
Analemma-water.
Are they the same?
Yeah, they're the same, but it's much easier for people to pronounce. Otherwise, I always say to ANALEMMA-water.com. And when I say coherent-water.com, it goes smoothly. Since I'm doing a lot of podcasts, I realized it's easier to just say it and people just get it. But
it's pretty good.
Website works. Yeah.
On the website here, I'm just laughing. There's the stick is in a wine glass. We were just talking about the wine.
Yeah. It would be really interesting. I'm really please share this information with me. I would love to see. We know that water taste changes, but it will be so cool to see if the taste of the wine changes. I'm not sure whether that company would organic wine company would love that the taste of their wine changing, but I'm really curious to know.
Well, maybe I'll black out the label and just tell you in private what the company is, but maybe they would. I mean, they should literally be sending me boxes of wine. I promote their wine so much.
Awesome.
So for my followers, I'll put everything in the description. You guys have kindly offered myself and my followers a 10% discount. So I'll put the code then into the description too. Honestly, I'm very, very excited about this, like very excited, because water is the foundation. It's everything in anything. You cannot do anything without. I talk a lot about, why does everyone say that water is so important for fat loss? We hear it all the time, drink your water, but nobody understands. They just do it and they know it works, but they don't understand. So now we've got the mitochondria aspect, we've got the cellular ATP aspect. Of course, we've got flushing toxins and detoxification pathways and all. It's so much more than what we realize. Probably, apart from oxygen, the next most important thing for sustaining life.
Most definitely. As I mentioned, water is a broadband absorber, receiver, and transmitter of frequency, energy, and vibration. And therefore, it holds the fundamental view. We are energetic beings. This is what we are. And when you change things on that level, every level gets influenced. So this is what I love. And then I'm telling you, I truly believe that this century will be the century of water. Scientists all over the planet will realize how, there were scientists all over the planet who kind of played with water in one way or another, and they really had incredible results. There are some scientists that actually had low voltage of electricity through the water, and the fish started to change genetically inside. And it's not because of the fish, it's because of the water.
Yeah.
So water is the fundamental element of life. If you change that in a positive way, everything else will change in a positive way. So yeah, I'm really super excited to be part of this project. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share this information with the world.
What you just said there with the fish, that brings me straight back to the terrain theory, which I'm sure you're well aware of that. It's not so much that we are unhealthy, it's more our environment and our cells' environment. So thank you so much for this. Was fascinating. Like, I could talk for hours. I will have you back on. Like, keep me in mind for deuterium, because I'm
most definitely we're working on it. We're actually even working. Okay, when I have something, I will definitely let you know.
Yeah, you'll have my email.
It's really exciting part of our research, most definitely.
So, ladies, men, I hope you really, really enjoyed this. This is an amazing interview. Please do. You have to check out Analemma Water on Instagram. Again, that's ANALEMMA Water. They've got some amazing content up there. I'll put everything in the description. Thank you for your time, Mario. This was better than I thought it was going to be. It was exceptional. So thank you. And clearly you're very excited about all of this. And now I'm excited. It's contagious.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for spending some of your time with me. I really appreciate it.